No, go back to butt cracks.
Okay, fuck butt cracks? Is that what you want? Welcome to the Rewatchers on the Pod, where we are currently watching The Leftovers on HBO. You're here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
And this week, we watched the final 2 episodes of Season 1 of The Leftovers. And if you weren't able to get around to it, don't worry. Tyler has written us what I'm sure is a very thorough and clear summary for your listening pleasure. And I'm about to read that right now. Episode 9. If you want to know what happens next after the last crazy episode, too fucking bad. Garvey tries to solve the enigma that is the Neon cat. Laurie is the foot feeling itself, and the sand is the massive David Copperfield stunt that's about to happen. The mayor and Garvey Sr. are totally just friends. There was a time when Garvey used to not want to shoot animals. Garvey pulls Eddie Vedder's hair and threatens to kill him if he touches Tommy again. Lou is really shipping Garvey and this deer. Nora has an interview and a disinterested husband. Garvey Jr. is not satisfied. Or well. Okay, yeah, sorry, I can't read. Wholesome moments of the Garvey home, the prequel. Garvey puts down the DR for struck by a woman who he's probably going to have intercourse with. Matt is not pregnant. Yep, good. Whoever built the people disappeared at the science fairs. Whoever built the people Whoever built the people disappearer at the science fair is totally going to win, then get arrested. Now that's a resume. Garvey is attracted to this woman's feeling for deer and smoking. The showrunners have no idea how far along that baby inside Laurie actually is. David Copperfield makes the big poof. Episode 10. Is your scene not quite artsy enough? Introducing French. Sprinkle it over any scene in Caliente Fuego. Give your scene some extra je ne sais quoi with French by France. Christine figuratively leaves Tommy with the bill and literally with the baby. Or maybe she was kidnapped or proofed. Laurie gets taste of her own medicine prescribed by Jill. Matt finds a new chance to suffer by being an accomplice. Matt Trick baptizes Kevin, then Pontius pilots the shit out of his own hands. Kevin, Jesus. Okay, Kevin starts to get into National Geographic. Kevin dreams the most fucked up seminary video I've ever seen. I made my family disappear. Says Kevin McAllis. Kevin Garvey. Garvey finds a bathroom genie and gets a wish. Wayne has truly become Holy Wayne. This fire is out of control. I'm gonna burn the city, hey. Nora gets eloquent as fuck. Tommy is somehow a worse father than Kevin, and fucking Moses is his baby on a porch and leaves it up to God. The end. All right. Good. Well. God damn, I'm never gonna be able to look at Kevin Garvey and not hear him go, I made my family disappear.
I couldn't believe what was happening. It was like a light switch. I was like, holy shit, his name's Kevin. This is huge John Hughes fan.
Yeah, that's been established at this point. He just loves John Hughes.
John Hughes references everywhere in this show. All those things you think are religious references are actually...
That's why every time Kevin leaves the police station, he just throws one fist up in the air and freezes for about 3 seconds before leaving the door. It's all very good. All right. Let's talk about the Garveys at their best. Just a little flashback.
When was that happening?
It was the day of right before the poof, right? So 3 years? 3 years, right? Is that what we established at the beginning? The 3-year anniversary.
Oh, I meant more I'm still unclear when their best ever was.
Oh.
Fucked up. But...
I think it's when she said French toast, and he was like, uh-huh. I think that's probably the best. I don't know. I feel like that's maybe the high water mark. I'm not entirely sure.
Getting coffee after he's gone on a run, too? This guy is a psycho.
Yeah.
Smoke cigarettes and coffee after a run.
Well,
Really?
smoke in the middle of the run.
Yeah.
Really gets those electrolytes, crisped out.
Everyone loves a few crunchy electrolytes, you know?
That's totally not how electrolytes work, but I couldn't think of any other way to put that.
Hey, I'm not a science man. I don't know.
I know, but we've established that I am, so I should know better.
Well, go ahead and tell us how the crunchy electrolytes work.
I mean,
That clears that up. Thank you.
look, it's like when you put your toast in the toaster, except the electrolytes, they're not slice shaped, they're round shaped. So it's like you're just dumping beads in your toaster.
Which you should do at least quarterly.
Yeah.
Just to make sure it's working correctly.
And I do this by drinking coffee and smoking.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Then I add it to my...
So all the beads going throughout your body are now toaster beads.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right, let's talk about kind of the major reveals of this episode. What are the things you guys learned, I guess, from these episodes that you felt was like important? Was there anything that was shocking to you?
They lived in a fucking huge house. I thought he broke into someone's house and was like an episode.
Hey, it's the police! I need coffee!
I mean, he's busted into other establishments
Sure.
and domiciles in an unwelcome manner, so it's not too out of character.
I mean, he beat the shit out of a woman, took her out into the middle of the woods and tied her to a chair. Walking into someone's house is not off the table for this man out there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was like... I knew it wasn't the same time. Like, I knew it wasn't like right after.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, is this like going to be a prequel episode? Or is this like way in the future? He is now like kind of... He was wearing all white and he's smoking. And I was like, huh, maybe he feels guilty. And yeah, but then it was very clearly established that, this is now. We passed then
now.
just now.
Yeah, there are a couple like interesting kind of Easter eggs that are on his run, because we start the series, not like the initial scene, but the first time we see Garvey, he's also on a run. We have that scene with the dog. But he runs that same route, and there's this time when he runs it, there's like a couple out working in their yard. And when he runs by their house in the first one, that man is like painting a giant mural of a woman on the side of his house. Like, so she was probably, she was departed. But there's a couple other things like that. I can't remember any. I should have written them down as I saw them, but there are a couple interesting like callbacks to that.
Is there any importance to him stashing his cigarettes underneath the mailbox, or is also where Tommy hid the money?
Yeah, I don't know.
In the same style of USPS drop box thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
It seems like a weird thing to do. Like, I don't know the significance of it, but it seems like also you'd have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it keeps your cigarettes dry and hidden, right?
Yeah.
This entire disappearance event is a consequence of him stopping for a smoke while he went on a run. The universe shifted somehow, and everything that has happened since then is like a direct result of what he was doing while he was on a run. He was wearing white, felt bad about smoking.
Uh-huh.
He is the founder of the Guilty Remnant, whether he knows it or not.
His puff was the flap of the butterfly's wings that changed the world.
Yeah, those four ladies that
Boom.
stopped and asked
Butterfly
him,
effect.
I can't remember what they asked. Are you the one, or are you ready, or something? I can't remember when he's sitting, and then
Yeah.
the manhole cover blows up. Like,
Yeah.
they actually were the ones who took inspiration from seeing him smoking on the side of the road, dressed in white, and started the Guilty Remnant later on. So he's like their... I just about said something that I would definitely regret, but he's like the founder of their religion.
You're about to say.
Don't worry about it. We'll just keep moving.
Yeah, they saw him and were like, everyone should be as sad as this guy is all the time instead of being happy. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyways, so yeah, I guess we talk about Kevin. Man, fucking Lou. Actually, let's talk about Lou for a second.
Dude, what the
How the fuck is that guy still at... Man, I don't know if it's just like, is it just do cops have tenure? Can they just like get to a point where they're like, yeah, just try getting rid of me, you piece of shit. Like, cause that's what Lou feels like to me, is like, incompetent, just fucking annoying dick.
I mean, based on current events.
It's true. He would be president.
Yeah.
I remember watching The Departed the first time and just seeing how those police interacted with each other. I'm like, what the hell? Like, is there something I don't know? Maybe he's a transplant from Boston or something.
Yeah.
Is this how we treat people?
I guess people in Boston need jobs too. Just none of those jobs are in HR.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the HRs in Boston are pretty skeleton crude.
What, you come here to fucking cry? So yeah, Lou. Fuck Lou. I've never been a fan of Lou.
Really into bestiality this episode. Like, brings it up twice. And I'm like...
Wait, the first time talking about the fucking the deer, and then...
And then at the party, he also mentions, like, your husband's going to get with this deer.
Oh, he does twice, doesn't he?
And it's, like, very separated. I'm like, dude, chill.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Why was he at that party? No one likes him, right?
I wouldn't think so.
I mean,
He's
there's a lot of
got
people in that
tenure.
town.
He's got party tenure. We gotta keep inviting him. Listen, he brings a good bottle of wine to every party. Gotta put up with it. Gotta put up with Lou. But yeah, anyways, we'll do a whole nother podcast episode about Lou and what I hope happens to him. He's apparently married too. I think. I don't know.
Did you say he's barely married? What'd you say?
He's apparently married.
apparently.
I don't know. He doesn't seem like the type of guy to be married, but whatever. Fuck it. Okay, Kevin. So, I guess the biggest thing is now he doesn't want to kill animals, but presently he's like kind of into it. Ish.
I think this was the turning point. This is where the bloodlust started.
Yeah. It was that.
When you mix actual lust for humans with the killing of animals, it's a dangerous game.
I mean, it was probably his whole reality being shattered by realizing this deer was not holy, but in fact carrying a mylar balloon that reflected the sunlight directly into his eyes.
Is that what that was? I didn't understand the balloon.
I don't know. I think that's what it's insinuating, because the first time he sees that deer, it's in the clearing, and it's like this very like heavenly glow in its antlers and kind of around its head. So that's what I assume.
But in the background, it's like all trees. And then when he looks back to where the deer was, there's like there's like houses too. So it changes background when he looks back.
I don't know. I didn't realize that. Interesting.
I think now I'm second guessing myself.
Well, I mean, it's not out of character for Garvey to just be seeing shit. So yeah, I want to go back and watch that scene though, because that's really interesting if that's how that plays out. But yeah, this deer, man. I don't know how much... Tyler, you're a scientist.
Yes.
How much blood is in a deer's body? Because this city is fucking covered in deer blood.
Well, I think that's something where the show misses the mark, because we all know that deer only have about like 2 soda cans worth of blood. Whatever measurement that is, I'm not sure. Leave that up to the measurement guys.
2 soda cans. There's no way for us to find out how 2 soda cans is.
But the way that seems like they want to be able to stay alive, but what happens is, they're so jittery, like they're always on crack, so it's like pumping that blood extra fast, so like the heart's like, oh, I'm gonna run out. Oh no, there's more blood.
The deer's the crack addicts of the forest. What was that? Yeah. Anyways, fuck. This deer really fucks up this town. And in a way, it feels like maybe the most exciting thing that's happened there in a while. I guess.
Not according to the cops, I guess. I mean, he's very sure it's only one deer.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, huh. Because I think I mentioned this before. There's times in the show I'm like, oh, Garvey's a pretty good cop, and then he immediately like disproves that the next scene. Because I always felt like, he's like, he doesn't like these people of the Realty Round, but he is trying to be like, neutral and like, do his job, but then he fucking breaks into a dry cleaner. So it's like, oh yeah, you guys should be worried about this deer, but then he's like just going about it like, yeah, no evidence of multiple deer, and you're going into people's houses with a trank gun and then not fucking using it and fucking that whole situation up. So I don't know. Garvey just kind of sucks. I know I was like hard on Jill last week. This week it's Garvey.
Jill was so much more annoying this week, though. Like,
I think that was the point, right?
I actually did want to talk about that. Like, maybe one of the best transformations in flashback episodes, just to a fucking. I mean, yeah, this is. I think I was realizing watching this episode. I don't think I currently know any. This is going to be a really weird sentence to say. I don't currently know any kids between like 10 and 14, I guess, that I'm not related to, that aren't like my cousins or something. And this just reminded me, like, man, what a fucked up time to live through is the age of 10 to 14. And oh man, I don't know. There was a lot of self-reflection on that period of my life after watching this episode.
I mean, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, Jill was annoying as hell in this episode, but it was, for me, this episode was like, yes, we were all that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think the reason Jill's been kind of bothering me, as Justin pointed out last week, is like her storyline just not been super like, there's, I don't know, compared to all the other characters, her storyline's kind of least interesting. And then also, she's lashing out a lot for, which I think is, you know, understandable also, but also there's everyone else is going through things because of this crazy supernatural event, I guess.
Yeah.
And hers feels very much like, I mean, her family split up in ways that like could happen in real life in a way. Right. And I feel like, man, I know people who have fucked up. I don't know. This is gonna go off a tangent, but anyway.
She's dealing with the world event, but then every adult in her life fails her spectacularly.
Oh yeah,
she's book 5 Harry Potter, man.
And book 5 Harry Potter fucking sucks.
Yes, he does, but he has a reason to suck.
But no, yeah, I was definitely hard on Jill last week, but this maybe did not give enough heat to Garvey, and I'm gonna make up for it today.
Okay. What else do we learn from
The prequel
past?
episode.
Yeah.
All happy families are putting on a face.
Oh yeah.
Even the children. Why is Jill putting on a happy face?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like Jill was. I mean, I got the vibe that she was probably the more genuinely happy when her and Tommy.
Yeah. Well.
But then at the science fair, like, she was like, "Oh, love mom. She's so great. Love dad. You guys are the best." And then at the science fair, when Tommy asks what's up, she's like, I think dad's going to leave.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which I think also kind of helps inform what we've seen of their relationship, 3 years later, which is like, if that was that before and then this huge thing happens and then her mom leaves, like, it's even, if she doesn't have the trust that her dad's going to stay anyways, like, fuck. I do want to talk about Tommy. We get to see Tommy and Garvey's relationship, and I'm trying to remember, because it hasn't been fully solidified that he is not Garvey's biological son, right?
No,
or was it earlier? Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if that was revealed in this episode or not. But man, that scene fucks me up. Like that I don't know. Like, it's like one of those scenes where I'm like, man, Garvey shouldn't be doing this, but like also, I don't know. Like, there's so much like complicated bullshit there.
He shouldn't have done it in uniform. He should have put on his civvies and then gone and intimidated the guy.
Listen, we're not against bad cops. We're against bad cops in uniforms.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I totally, like, that's not a very, like, heads up move by him at all to, like, but yeah, anyways. And man, that kid's getting a hard dose of reality of what he can expect from the cops, I guess, at a very young age. Anyways. Yeah, so we get to see a little bit more of that, which I appreciate. And it's the first time that we've seen them together. And I think that a thing that this show does, but then kind of we don't really see for a big chunk of it, like in maybe it's just the first episode, Garvey calls Tommy 2 or 3 times and is like leaving messages. And so you get the sense that there's like this like genuine like desire to like make sure he's okay, like to check up on him. but also he's, older. It's, he's an adult. And so it is interesting to kind of see that relationship and kind of get a better idea of that dynamic, I think. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on
It's
that.
oddly, I feel like the best that we see Garvey at.
Sure.
It's because, like you said, it's complicated. He's doing something that's like, I don't know, just misguided, I guess. Like the way he's going about it, I guess is the best way to put it. Because then after this, it's just kind of a shit show for him, which I did like. I don't know. It's very evident, right, that he like before all this has some sort of mental illness, right? Am I reading that wrong? Because to me, he seems very. That conversation he has with his dad seems to imply that to me a bit too. Like there's, like he's trying to put on this facade, but he's not feeling that way. He almost like acts like legitimate like bipolar in some ways, like not like a split personality like the people think that is, but like the actual symptoms of being bipolar. And I don't know if that's supposed to be that way, if you guys got that read or if I'm just reading into it.
I got the impression that he was just kind of fucked up in the way he was thinking about his life. But I mean, I could have been reading it wrong.
I mean, I've read this show wrong so much, probably more than any show we've watched. So I kind of looked to you guys to correct these because, like, I don't know, that seemed like it was obvious to me. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I guess they never explicitly say anything, and I could just be reading into it.
Well, I definitely think this show leaves a lot of blank spaces in important places for, like, on purpose, And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that it's, again, we get to see his dad supposedly pre all of his, he hasn't had his, like, huge break yet. And so is that something that was caused is that, like, a thing that a scientist would look at and be like, wow, we got this huge uptick in, like, cases of mental illness after this thing or whatever, like, or is it something that just, like mental illnesses like to do is just like just happens one day, it just goes off and then you're dealing with it. But yeah, I think I don't know, which I think is what interesting. The thing that Gwen mentioned earlier is if that background is different in that shot, like, I think it does point to that idea of, like, he's definitely having that. Does he know at all that he's having that, or is it just, I don't know.
That's a good point.
But yeah, that's really, I think that is interesting.
Well, cult lady, the smoking cult lady,
Patty.
In her session was having, like, a feeling that was something was wrong, something was coming, and obviously she was dealing with some shit. But it kind of made me think, well, maybe people were experiencing, like, how animals, like, before it's not hurricanes, it's earthquakes, freak out. Like, maybe people were internally freaking out and starting to break before everybody got disappeared.
Yeah.
And maybe Garvey started seeing heavenly deer, and that was his symptom.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's another good callback to mention is we see Lori gives her the advice of, putting the shit back on Neil's doorstep, which we see her do in the episode where they go to I don't remember what episode that is, but after Gladys is killed and they go to that hotel and stuff, the thing that they do on the way back is she has that paper bag that just says Neil on it and drops it off on some porch, which it's like an interesting callback.
Right. I forgot about that.
So, but yeah, I think too, like, man, I think I've already said it on this podcast, but man, the actress who plays Patty fucking rules. She's so good. And I guess it's, as I said before the podcast, I'll get on record now. The actress who plays Laurie also fucking rules. I think, especially in these two episodes, and seeing, like, the Garveys at their best episode, like, kind of back to back with the modern, or the now Laurie, really highlights that, I think. But yeah, it's great. We also see Gladys in this episode, I guess we should say. She's the
Who
dog breeder.
apparently is just perfectly cast.
yeah.
I thought she was great before, but then I'm like, oh, dog breeder. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
That house was not nearly dirty enough.
Shots fired. Gwen, we have so many dog breeding listeners. Chill.
Sorry, I love you guys.
Yeah. The full page ad in Dog Breeders Monthly was the only one I could afford. Don't ask me why we're running print ads for a podcast.
Do you need something to listen to while your dogs are banging?
Oh, you like magazines? Check out a podcast.
My dad told me that this week is the first time he's ever listened to a podcast. And, yeah.
It wasn't ours.
it ours?
was
No, it wasn't
Oh,
ours.
gosh.
No. Thank goodness.
People that scare me.
Why are you scared of my dad, though? I don't understand why you're
Khabib. Gwen's dad. DeAndre Jordan.
Okay. God damn it. Fuck. Okay. I'm trying to think of what else Garbage is their best. We get the moment with Matt and we see. Oh God, why did I just forget Matt's wife's name? Mary.
Yeah.
Which I'm just now realized very biblical. Should have realized that earlier. Mary. Strong biblical name. I don't know what I'm getting at with that. But very. I mean, we get the moment of him telling her to drive, which presumably, this is the drive that they take that causes her to be in the state she is now, which is fucked up.
She said, I think she's the one that says, "You get drunk, I'll drive."
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Rough stuff.
she's the one who
hadn't-
chooses to be in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean,
hadn't put that
unknowingly,
together.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after he finds out he's not pregnant.
Right. Why is like the idea of like a priest be like, every man should go check and make sure they're not pregnant from sinning? Like, why is that sort of believable? Like, if I read that in a headline, I'd be like, oh God, and I just scroll past it. But man, I wouldn't be like, I'm gonna look into this and valid.
The
like,
libs are trying to get us pregnant to force us to have abortions.
Man, the devil is getting so crafty, so crafty.
Like a white basketball player, just crafty.
Oh man. Then okay, so oh man, I guess so.
I mean, is that something that obviously you can't spoil anything, but it's like, do you think there's any, I assume it's just for the sake of, to get them in that situation or something, like Matt must have a history of testicular cancer. Is that what he's getting ultrasound? I don't know what else men get ultrasound.
That's fair.
As a science man, I should know this, but I don't.
Yeah.
I think you could probably get an ultrasound for any suspected area that might have a tumor in it, right?
Like
Oh yeah,
tissues
I
or-
guess. But
yeah.
wouldn't they do like X-rays more often?
Yeah, is an
I don't know.
ultrasound something you do for a tooth?
I know they do ultrasounds
I
for
don't
like
know.
physical therapy,
I'm-
but it's
yeah.
they don't do it the
Yeah, you don't
actual
do
imaging.
imaging,
Right? So it's
yeah.
like
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
It's a good question.
weird.
Also, why does the oncologist live in the same office as the gynecologist? or
And
the
why are they
OB?
living in their offices? Don't these people make enough to get at least a nice apartment?
Yeah, look, as a science man, there are some severe ultrasound problems in this episode.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna make that joke. I was gonna say they lose a baby, so it's not. They're not great at it.
We went to the wrong one. It's the cause of the whole thing. But seriously, that baby is pretty far along, and she has zero bump. So, just throwing that out there. And that ultrasound was very clear. That was
Yeah.
a very nice ultrasound.
I don't know if I should share this story, but have I showed you Josh and Katie's ultrasound from their baby?
No. Wait, maybe.
I need to find a picture. They have an ultrasound that is just full on a butt cheek and balls. And that's the one that was hanging on my parents' fridge for months before that baby was born. It's like one of the greatest ultrasound pictures I've ever seen, because I've never had a kid, so I don't hunt that long to like find out. I'm like, oh great, and I don't know what I'm looking at all the time. But like that, I was able to see. Oh my, yeah, it's great. So anyways, it's really good. We'll post that somewhere. Probably not. That's certainly an invasion of privacy. But yeah, okay, so we have talked about the Garveys as this family who was seemingly untouched by the departure, as far as we knew. This episode, it's very clear that they are not. What a fucking way to experience those first moments of the departure. Yeah, I don't have much to add to that other than woof. I don't know. Is that something that for you guys, I guess, I'm trying to think of how to word this. Did that help you understand Laurie's choices more that she has made post departure, I guess?
I definitely think that's interesting that she had a child and then just having it just gone, because then you're also dealing with not just this guilt that everyone else is feeling because of why people are gone, but it's also you're dealing with like a legitimate like postpartum depression type of situation. And I think I don't know, I like, obviously that's not going to be something that's explored. I just find that to be an extra weight on this woman. I feel like that definitely makes it more empathetic, I think.
She also hadn't told anyone about the baby, so she can't necessarily work through it with anyone.
Yeah.
Question was, did I completely come up with this, but was she looking at possibly having an abortion?
I think that was implied by the first phone call.
That's what I was thinking, because
I feel like the phrase "point of no return."
there was that, and then
I'm such an idiot. I thought that was the dog. I thought that phone call was about the dog. But they hadn't like said about they hadn't done like the whole thing with the dog yet. So like I was like, wait, what was that phone call? And then the doctor's like, oh, and then, like I didn't like think about how intense that was for the fucking. Sorry, Justin.
Listen, if you don't come pick the dog you want, we just drop one off at your house and you're stuck with it. Yeah, that's an intense breeder. Not that I'm saying Gladys isn't that type. But yeah, I do. Yeah, I think I felt like that was implied for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I just like, yeah, that makes that moment, I think, a lot more. I mean, I don't know. It adds another layer of intrigue. That's not the best word for that because of what is happening. That feels like it cheapens it. But yeah, like she's looking at getting an abortion, which means that this is something that she doesn't feel like is. I'm not gonna say why she's doing that. That's not my place. But to go from that choice to wanting to hear the baby's heartbeat and to see the baby and being told that it's healthy and everything, and then just having it gone. Yeah, that's a really crazy situation to be in. So yeah, I would say that it has helped explain Laurie a bit more. I still don't really get it, but mainly because the guilty remnant to me is still kind of an enigma at this point. Like I sort of get what they're about, but not really. I don't know. I gotta think about that.
Something
a
else
more.
about that scene that is probably another thing I'm reading into that I'm wrong about is she asks if it's her husband's baby, and the way she reacts was really hard to read for me. Like almost as it could be implying.
Of course,
that
yeah. Why would you?
Yeah,
ask
what? Yeah, this totally is. Like I don't know. It kind of felt like that to me, and I don't know if that was just like a performance directing thing or if that was an intentional nod at that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know on that one.
Does that so the balloon on the deer as well? It's a girl. It's a baby announcement balloon, and Matt sees not Matt. Kevin. Kevin sees that. I got the impression that he might sort of maybe know that she's pregnant, maybe, or has the thought that she might be pregnant, which to me, maybe informs a little bit more about what's going on in their relationship, possibly if she cheated on him before and he's maybe, I don't know, like that's kind of where my thoughts have gone. Yeah, there's a lot that could be happening here.
I don't think she cheated on him. I think just like, I think the dog was like parallel to the baby. Like, I don't think Garvey necessarily knew that Lori might be pregnant, but like it was just another like indication that another tie to the family that he doesn't necessarily want, especially with his kids getting older and leaving the house, and he might be able to let go and move on since he's feeling trapped and, you know, not wanting the dog and by extension a baby, you know, another tie to the family. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, you can see it I think both ways there.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me is like it's another one of those, I don't know what's intentional by the show, and I don't know if it's meant to be there or if it's just a thing that because of production things it reads a certain way.
Which is kind of cool. It's kind of fun that that's the case, though.
Sure. Yeah, there will be more of that coming. That's definitely, I think, what the show trades in. And what is, I think, to me, what is interesting about the show, because I think I've mentioned it before, like, there's a question that I had that it felt like the question everyone should have at the end of this show. And when I talked to someone else who had watched it, they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, that's the question. That's the whole thing. You gotta, what part do you believe? Anyways, and they hadn't even thought about it. So I think I think it's cool that like I could have something that I took away that I was like, oh man, what is, you know, anyways. But yeah, I think that's something that the show does really well. Yeah, any other Garveys at their best thoughts?
Tommy's relationship with his mom's kind of weird.
Whose?
Tom, it's more, I think it's less that, and it's more adult writers have a hard time writing teenagers, like a really hard time. And I don't know why that is, because we were all teenagers once, but it's hard to make them come off as believable, I guess. And Tommy, especially in this episode, I'm like, no one acts like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way he treats Jill too. Like,
oh yeah.
Big brothers call their little sisters buttheads and don't give them giant hugs from behind.
And also a little too much like physical affection happening.
Yeah.
Like that's
those would be punches, not hugs.
Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, I do think that's indicative of how we were raised. I think there are families that are like, there are families who are like more physical. It always makes me uncomfortable, and I think it's wrong. But they exist and don't think it's wrong for some reason, right?
I mean, yeah.
I'm not saying that this episode does that well, but I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, fuck. All right. Great. I'm glad we settled that. We're here answering
you got
the
that
big
out.
questions. Yeah. Well, that's just something I always think about because I'm like, never mind. This
is a rabbit hole.
This isn't my weekly hour.
I feel like we need like a post podcast when the mics are off, because now we've got like I think 3 different things that need to be said off mic.
But also on mic. Just send out to our friends.
Tier 3 subscribers can get the juicy exclusive
Patreon.
content. Monetize that.
Okay, let's get back to show's present day. With man, I'll say one thing. Death does not look good on Patty. It looks bad. Dead bodies, they're fucked up.
Wait, what?
It was a good dead body though.
It was. No, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like her skin looks fucking gross and blue.
She looks
Are you
dead.
saying being dead doesn't suit her?
Here's what I'm saying. Plenty of movies go out of their way to be like, this person's dead, but they're still fucking hot, you know?
I did see someone post something this week that was like legitimate casting calls, and 3 in a row were just like for like hot female corpse. And I'm
Of course,
like,
yes.
good lord, why?
Maybe there's more necrophiliacs than we
For
thought in
sure,
Hollywood.
of course there are. That's the scary thing, is that they don't have to tell us. Anyways.
God, ugh.
Those are the people who were hugged too much as kids.
By their
They
siblings.
think they can hug everything.
Ugh.
Okay. Jesus, this is really off the rails. But Patty dead. Definitely dead. Fucking dead. And then, I mean, Garvey makes the right call. It's calling the person that all of us, I think, would call, is your local priest. You know?
Who's also a cleaner.
Oh, man. So, yeah.
It makes me wonder about Matt's past.
But
He's just
seriously, I mean,
Garvey knows something about Matt in the past.
yeah. It's,
Look, I'm going to tattle on you if you don't come bury this body with me.
Oh no, he knew exactly what to do. He's
Yeah,
like,
he
I
did.
got this all planned out. We're gonna bury the body here. And something that pisses me off in movies, I talked about how there's some good like continuity things in a previous episode. Something that bothers me in like media is when people are digging holes. You know how fucking hard it is to dig a hole with a shovel? But it's like clearly a backhoe has taken a perfect square out of this ground.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, fuck off. Like, go the extra mile. Make that hole look like it was dug.
Get some like unruly teens who need some discipline. Make them dig all the holes for movies.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe there's treasure.
when we read Holes in the 4th grade as a class, we used to have like a huge backyard growing up, and we had like a huge garden section that was just dirt. And so I was like, it was like explaining how hard it is to dig. I'm like, how fucking hard can it be to dig a hole? So like one day after school, I took a shovel out. I'm like, okay, the holes in the book are as deep as the shovel, so I'm just gonna do that. I didn't get very fucking far.
I do remember there was a season of Survivor where a guy on there, his profession, like on his little title card, was gravedigger. He was the most fucking jacked dude I've ever seen. And I was like, it makes sense. If you like are gonna call yourself a gravedigger, you better look like that guy. 'Cause
Dude, that's his wrestling name.
I'm the gravedigger. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good wrestling name, actually. It's not bad. Okay.
Why was Matt okay with just burying this woman and being hush-hush about it? It bothers me.
Matt was a
Why is he
cleaner.
okay with it?
He believed him. He believed him.
I mean, I believed him too,
Well,
but I still would have...
Matt's Job, remember? So he's like, sweet. Like, this
More
is
cosmic
another...
karma to pile onto my
Yeah.
broken soul.
It's like another burden I have to carry. Like, I don't know. And I think everyone knows that the guilty argument sucks complete ass. And so no one really gives a shit.
Matt's really good at gambling. He knows what's gonna happen.
yeah. Yeah. Matt's a real interesting character. Like it's weird.
And he also helped out, his dad when he escaped. So it's like,
Right.
It almost feels like Matt also might be a little more connected to things, even if it's not directly through himself, but through other people, of like the whole other side or whatever, whoever's talking to these other people type of thing.
So then, I guess they do all that. We can let's just talk about him dropping Kevin off at the loony bin. What were you guys' impressions of that? Were you...
I was convinced. I thought it was happening.
First time I watched this, I did too, and I was like, that's like one of my greatest fears. Because, like, I don't know, just the thought of like someone being like, you're crazy, and I have the power to do something about it. And anything that you say, you're saying because you're crazy. Like, oh my God, it like makes me sweat to think about. Like, what a fucking conundrum. But yeah, which reminds, never mind. I was about to go off this whole thing. I read all about Hollow Earth this week, and there's this guy in the 1800s who sent out all these letters about Hollow Earth, and he also included a letter from a doctor that was like, "Yeah, this guy's not crazy." It's like maybe I should just have a letter that you can put in your wallet or like pocket, so that people always know. No, I'm not crazy. This doctor said I wasn't.
Totally not crazy, Doctor Smith.
Dr. Puffin, stop. Fuck. So yeah, let's talk about this dream sequence where Kevin gets up close and personal with Patty.
Oh, that was so bad. It was so uncomfortable. Why?
But so good too. I really liked this entire sequence. I thought like Kevin, I was really impressed with like it was a little jarring to see the switch from like I'm not supposed to be here to like him like muttering to himself like just relax, like you're okay, you're gonna be fine. And then there's the National Geographic that gets slid under the door from his dad. It's like stop talking to yourself and they'll let you watch TV. But like so there was a little bit of a like maybe something's not quite right about what's happening here that I picked up on. But like the rest of it was fantastic. I thought this entire section was really great. Patty coming in, that was because I know you said like things were gonna get really fucking weird, and I was thinking like, oh, this is where things are gonna go off the rails, setting up like the next season. We're gonna have something insane happen right here. That wasn't the case, but it's still kind of there a little bit because like Kevin's dreaming all of this stuff, so he's messed up. Yeah. I liked it. It was pretty cool.
I mean, like that seems like a pretty reasonable nightmare to have,
After
just
you
based on what's going on in his life.
saw somebody kill himself, I guess.
Yeah. We'll say just a random thing that will come up later, and has come up previously. When Kevin did go and visit his dad earlier, he was watching that show Perfect Strangers, which is like a late 80s, early 90s sitcom, I believe. And he is also watching that same thing. That will come up in a really weird way later.
Huh.
Like a fucking weird way. It's weird. Anyways, so that's a good thing to remember. Just Perfect Strangers, that show that they watch.
I did like that moment where they bury Patty and he has him read that scripture,
Sure.
and his performance there was really good, and I think kind of sold that moment for me on a moment that could have really fallen flat.
Yeah.
And felt very, I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't have my thoughts around it yet. It just like almost opportunistic of Matt to take that moment, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, got a lot of complex things that I haven't really thought out yet about that. But I think that him kind of almost being validated that way through what he's going through, and can kind of see like how Matt became what he is of this like masochist. Yeah, I don't know. A really interesting part, and I don't know what that means for Garvey. If it's going to mean anything, but
Sure.
it felt like a big moment for him.
Yeah.
I liked that you mentioned the baptism imagery in the summary because I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Him getting cleaned up.
Yeah, Katie was like, he probably like secretly blessed that gallon of water.
Yeah, I was thinking it was holy water from the church. Yeah.
Oh, you missed a spot. Like, there's something like does a cross on his forehead.
Eat away from Matt. But then they wake up and he actually wakes up in is it the same diner where Patty took?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
In the same
I think it
seat,
might be.
even.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's definitely like the same location, like as far as if it's a different diner, it's the same booth location, in relation to the layout of the building. I don't know, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Yeah. Which I think is another. I mean, Justin Theroux gets a lot of good shit in these this episode. I think that conversation too is like. He's fucking busted, man. Garvey is a broken man, and And that's one of those things. I guess maybe that is why he called Matt. Maybe that's why he called a person, that is closer to God or something like that, because maybe that's what he's feeling that he's missing or something. I don't know, but
or just someone who is used to talking to people about hard things.
Sure, yeah. But man, I think that whole scene is really great. Followed up by just one of my fucking favorite scenes in a bathroom I've ever seen, is Garvey encountering Holy Wayne, who's been fucked up somehow. Don't know how, if he's like shot at a different location by those guys that show up and they just find him. I don't know, but yeah. What do you guys take on? We've talked a lot about Holy Wayne and kind of his legitimacy. I'm sure this didn't do anything to clarify that for anyone here. But what do you guys think of that whole sequence?
Oh man, the first thing I asked Gwen when we got done watching this was, what do you think his wish was? And yeah, that, because there's the Nora stuff as well that has kind of made me feel like Wayne was just giving people hugs and Nora was just able to accept that in the moment or something. It was just like the symbolic thing. But the scene with Holy Wayne, recognizing Garvey's wish and just that the light bulb that he has as he's dying, and then I don't know, yeah, I don't know. I have
If you're
no
that
idea.
brand of crazy, though, you can make anything into a light bulb moment, right?
Yeah.
His whole thing, though,
he doesn't believe himself anymore, though.
Yeah.
Until that light bulb moment, and then he's like,
Sure.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm the real deal.
Also, when you're dying, you get pretty loopy, from what I've seen, and I don't know. To me, we talked about it last week. If it's just fucking hugs, I'm pissed. I don't buy it. That's the thing. Is he's done that for so many people, and he's kind of creepy. So this weird kind of connection people have with him immediately, even though he's creepy as fucking hell, is really bizarre, and it's hard for me to connect with as a viewer if it is just hugs.
But I don't think unwarranted. There's plenty of historical documented evidence of groups of hundreds or thousands of people who have followed really fucking creepy dudes into some weird shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And also, people are just desperate for something to relieve their pain.
But look, as science man,
Yeah, I think we're a little out of depth.
science and history, clearly the same thing.
What is history but the science of time?
I've words out of my mouth. But I mean, the type of people though that he's getting,
Sure.
it seems odd to me, and it's hard to connect with. Nora does not seem like the type of person who is buying that shit. She's just, I don't know, so caution to the wind at this point in her life that I feel like it was the only reason that she went kind of through with that until she met him, and then all of a sudden had this he sees into people, and at least it's presented that way, and it could all be an act. But I don't know. It as a viewer, it would feel so. It's just really hard for me to buy, I guess, because there's a lot of that many people are getting hugs and then actually feeling better. Nora's not pretending to feel better. She I mean, I guess you could argue that. I don't know. It seems
still has the gun, right?
Yeah, she still has the gun, but if I have a gun and I'm feeling better, I'm not shooting myself with a thing with it, I'm gonna keep the gun. I'm like, man, I paid good money for this shit. What if someone breaks in? I keep it in the trouble box because then I know I'm in trouble.
And listen, trouble got banned at this house, so no one is opening that unless it's me, and it's actual trouble.
I mean, who's gonna open it? Her kids?
God.
But I don't know. It seems so unbelievable to me that people are actually getting something out of a hug, I guess. I don't know. Whereas
Tyler, do you need a hug?
get the fuck back. We've been very anti-physical intimacy on this. podcast this episode.
We have discussed what hugs lead to.
Because it's like, I don't know, if it's something that like internal that the person has to do for themselves, it becomes more believable. Whereas it's literally this physical act that's the moment. It's not, oh, maybe the hug didn't work. Every single person has been.
Well, they're desperate, and so it's a placebo thing. Like, they want it to work, and so it does to some level.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like they could have come up with something better if it's than hugs. I don't know.
I just feel like it's a good thing. Like with what this show deals with, I think that it's really great that it does resemble so many things in the real world as far as like, I don't want to talk anti-religion, but it's like religion, kind of. You know what I mean? It's the same thing that people
so much of the
seek
show
in those
is
beliefs and things.
Steeped in that, so I don't think it's
Right.
Yeah.
something we need to shy away from.
Well, I know,
talking
but I'm
about.
just like, I don't want to like. It's just it's complicated for I think all of us around this table, and like conversations that we have to have with so many people. We have to have constantly. I feel like, at least I have lately for some reason. But I think I think that the frustrating nature of that is one of the things I like about this show, is because it feels the same as
maybe that's my
beliefs
gripe
and
with
other
it. Is I feel like
religions.
it's overly simplified. I guess I would like there to be a little bit more to chew on, if that's what they're trying to get me to question if the hugs are real or not. Like, just saying that is like,
okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I will say, if you're itching for more insight into the mythological spiritual realm of The Leftovers, season 2 will be your jam.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
But I think that as someone, I honestly think I think season 1 of The Leftovers could stand alone as its own thing. I think I could very easily see a world where it just ends with this episode, and there's a fucking million loose threads, but you've kind of got enough of this picture constructed that you're just going to spend time asking yourself questions to fill in everything else.
I feel like if this would be the end, then it would honestly actually answer all the main things, right? I mean, obviously, there's definitely more you could explore with like all the threads, but it's like the reason people disappeared is at least theorized here in this episode.
Well, the reason people stayed is theorized.
Well, isn't that the same thing?
I don't think so.
Because they made their family disappear. Like they, it reminded me of like the thing of like, if everyone on planet Earth farts at the same time, what happens? If enough people wish a family member gone, it happened.
So the lady with the baby wished her baby gone. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't put that together.
Yeah, and Lori, when she was looking at her thing, it's like she wanted that gone. So everyone who disappeared, that's what Patty was saying. It was like, and that's what she says he understood, and that's what Matt and him are talking about over a burger.
And that's why the baby disappears, the inside baby.
Yeah, and
The inside baby.
and
I pointed to my tummy too.
Inside Baby was a really misguided prequel to The Inside Man. I don't think I needed to know about Clive Owens.
we got an inside baby.
Spin off of Boss Baby.
But like
Listen, we can't all be bosses. Some of us have to get our hands dirty.
but like kind of that line too is like of when she's talking, Patty's talking to Garvey in the previous 2 episodes ago, and she's like, no, we don't care what you did with your dirty dick. It was like, it just felt like a thing about just cheating. But then it's like, no, he made that woman fucking disappear, according to them, because he chose to sleep with her. And then it was like, shit, I want this gone. And it's like, this is my favorite episode so far.
Sure.
And I think, because of the things it takes from a lot of the previous episodes and gives new light on, and it gives enough answers with leading off with tons of other questions, and that's what a season finale should do, in my opinion. Sure. But is that the real answer? I think is going to be something I would guess is going to be challenged in season 2 or 3, would be my guess. Maybe not. Maybe that's just what they're going to roll with, but I would assume that's going to be explored more.
Yeah.
Because it's literally just 2 guys in a diner being like, what if?
I mean, aren't we all just two guys in a diner saying "what if" into the void?
That was beautiful.
Diner food sounds amazing right now.
Oh, man, if you guys are ever in Salt Lake, Penny Ann's Cafe, fucking hit that shit up. It is like they like talk a huge game about their pancakes. They're like, "Oh, our heavenly pancakes." And I was like, I mean, pancake's a pancake. It's great. Their pancakes fucking rule. Like, they're so good.
You took a bite and you saw the Son of Man standing on the right hand of the Father.
You could make a religion out of this.
See, pancakes would have been better than fucking hugs.
Yes, the hugs of breakfast food.
Can I just make one comment real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm taking this from you, Gwen, but Gwen mentioned at the end when we were talking about what was Matt's wish, and Gwen said that she thought it was that what's his face, their son Tommy would come home, and or didn't you also mention like just their family be back together, or was that my idea?
I think that one was yours, yeah.
Okay. Which I really like thinking about that with what you just talked about, Tyler, with the idea of these people disappeared because people wanted them gone. So the juxtaposition, the show has a lot of this kind of stuff where there's like one idea is presented and then there's another idea that is just like put up right alongside that kind of make them both go together really well. I think this is another one of those with Matt, not Matt, I keep saying Matt, Kevin, wishing that his family would be back and then getting his wish at the end of this episode.
Which I wonder about, like, and I bet it's something we'll never actually know the exact wish of, but like the wording of his wish could definitely be like classic genie material.
Yeah.
Like how genies are just dicks. And like I could see
Wait, Holy Wayne is a genie. He's been a genie that's freed and just has like this fucking crazy power, and he's like, I'm gonna push it all into hugs because I've been doing like theatrical shit my whole fucking existence. Time to take it back.
His body was his own lamp. Got shot, and it just oozed out of it.
Gotta rub the genie to get the wish.
That's why they needed to give him a hug.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my god. Holy Wayne genie confirmed.
But I think it's interesting that at the end it's Tommy coming back, possibly Lori coming back. I do want to talk about why the fuck that baby is just left on the fucking porch. I was furious at the end of the episode. I was like, are they inside? Did he drop the baby off the doorstep and then drive around and be like, oh, there's my mom? Like, because in that scene I was like, oh, it's in the back seat. But then I'm like, oh no, she's now on the porch, so they must be inside. And then no. And so anyway, I was very upset about that. But anyway, so Lori had a baby. Baby was lost. Baby's now on porch. Yeah. All of his family that is lost is come back. And there's also another woman who is on his porch. Yeah. So was his wish like, I wish everyone's life who I fucked up was fixed or back or whatever?
I wish things were back the way they were before the poof.
Yeah, something like that. And now he's like, oh shit, now I have my wife back, but Nora's also here. And
baby time.
Jesus 2.0 is on my doorstep. Or the parents of Jesus 2.0. One of them. Oh man, yeah. This episode fucking rocked. Yeah. And
well, and I think, like, to go on with what Justin was saying, like, I think it's so genius to have the Garveys at their best episode be its own thing and not broken up into flashbacks that we see across the season, because these two episodes provide such a great, like, you can like fold them in on each other and see all those things, which is really great. I think it's fantastic. I will say this was like, I honestly, when I was first watching the show, I got to this point and I was like, I'll probably take a break when I finish this season because I'm not really. I like this show, but I'm not like super into it. And once I watched these episodes, I was like, gee, holy shit, I'm very into this episode. Like, very into the show now. But yeah, that stuff's all great. Let's talk real quick about the real fucked up. Let's talk Guilty Remnant. And basically them rolling out their master plan, which is just oh man, it's
Fuck 'em.
fucked. So fucking oh
Broke into
man.
people's houses again.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
really good at it if they're getting away with this shit.
Yeah.
When people are in the house asleep.
I was telling Katie, I'm like, there's no way they'd fucking get me, man. I'm up till like 3 a.m. I wake up at the slightest sound because my situation with the guy breaking in before. I'm like ready to go. I have a baseball bat by my bed.
Yeah, it's man. Also, like, her family is at the table, and I'm like, how much of the information was like public? Like, how much do they have to dig? Where they're like,
They're just broken into Matt's records.
They got the seats wrong, though. The kids were sitting in the wrong seat.
yeah, I know. I was gonna say that, but then I was like, is that really a nitpick worth making? They got him at the fucking table. Like, who? I don't know.
Did they
How
also
do they know
get like
that?
the reject dummies? Because the dummies we've seen previously in this show have been a lot higher quality.
They do. Yeah. I mean,
They had to get They didn't have that much money.
yeah. You look into the eyes of those children, and you're like, oh man,
It
they're
almost makes it
horrifying.
worse
Yeah.
that they're shitty. Like,
Yeah.
It makes it more of a mockery.
Sure.
than- yeah.
fuck them. So mad about these people.
We also, God bless the woman who wished her baby away at the very beginning of the show. We see her a handful of times in this season, and every time just the most heightened emotional stakes for this woman.
Was she the one who was who was
yeah,
shooting the
just
guilty
shooting the
remnant
gun.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, we just see her. It's like Jesus Christ.
I'm in full control now. I'm not going to say anyone's names. This woman looks like one of our friends' wives, and I think about that all. That's like how I think about.
Okay, you're gonna need to tell me this.
I
is good.
definitely
can't
will.
remember.
And now I'm like, this isn't that out of character. I'm just as scared of both these people.
Who are we talking about?
I'll tell you
Later,
after.
now I'm scared.
We're gonna have a long post mic episode tonight. But yeah, so that man, what a fuck. I mean, I'm impressed. Like, that's the other thing that I guess I walk away from this from is like, the Guilty Remnant are not fucking around. Like, they did it, man. And Patty kind of just dropped the mic in this huge way. Like, I don't know. It's fuck.
Alone in a cabin in the woods. I was man.
Yeah.
That still gets me that she did it just for Garvey.
Yeah.
That was it. That he was the only person there.
And I think it is worth talking about too, because when we see Patty in Best of the Garveys, she's at an incredibly low place. And we talked about this, her having this feeling of like something bad's gonna happen. How much of that bad thing happening becomes this like incredible empowerment for her?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is another interesting thing to think about when you have this huge, massive crisis that's affecting the whole world. Is like, who's like, finally.
Told
You know what I
so.
mean?
It
Yeah, I
could
knew
be
this
like
was
a
going to
huge
happen.
relief.
Yeah.
Like, it finally happened.
I'm not crazy. You know, it's like, man.
Well, it also makes me wonder if like Patty also has a similar issue of like with Garvey Sr. and dog hunting man,
Sure.
Red Foreman. I don't know what the fuck his name
Yes.
is.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, like because she has that sort of sense, and that could just be, I don't know. It's what I love and fucking hate about this show is I'm fucking questioning the reality of everything. I'm
Yeah.
like, is this show supernatural or not? But it has to be because people fucking disappeared. Or did they? And we're all in Garvey's head. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, any other thoughts on the Guilty Remnant? I mean, we have kind of at the beginning of this episode, we have the kind of this face off between Jill and Laurie, where Laurie is kind of trying to tell her not to, to go home, and she doesn't. But yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot to talk about with that scene. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that or any other Guilty Remnant
Katie
stuff.
thinks that Liv Tyler's making a power move within the hierarchy of the Guilty Remnant.
Yeah, she was like all of a sudden third in charge or something after Laurie was dealing with Jill.
It's
Like,
like-
Which I also had a hard
fucking all
time buying because like we just all witnessed this woman fucking break our rules,
yeah,
and
no
her,
talking.
her commitment sucks. But maybe she's starting a new subcult. Branch off. We talk here.
The Guilty Remnant and words. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's probably an easy pitch to make, though. It's like,
Yeah.
why the fuck are we not talking? Like,
Listen, we're not
getting our message.
orthodox.
We're not getting our message across very clear. That's what I don't get about them. Is like, okay, I understand more about their reasonings after these episodes, and obviously this will be explored more. But it's like, it's still like, how does not talking help you achieve what you're trying to achieve? How does smoking do that? Like, it's like you could be a lot more effective, come out and, hold a fucking press conference and be like, hey, we made these people disappear. That's what we believe. But instead it's like, you're going to have to figure it out.
I mean, to be fair, though, a guilty remnant press conference as they stand now could be the first press conference to have the teleprompter turned not towards the people on stage, but towards the audience. It just scrolls through it while someone stands behind a podium, which would be pretty fucking impacting. Like, that'd be pretty... Like, if I saw that, I'd be like, holy shit, I need to read that whole transcript right now. What are they talking about? Oh, Jesus. Whew.
Yikes.
The guilty remnant not happy with those remarks.
Bad mouth the guilty. Someone said Jesus fucking Christ. God cut the brakes to this podcast.
So we have also Tommy. Let's talk about Tommy real quick. Christine is not in a good way also, understandably.
Don't leave the baby on the floor. Go find a fucking fire station.
Jesus, yeah, that is...
Well,
A dirty bathroom,
Well,
public...
do we know what happened to Christine? That's the thing. Is like,
No,
did
she left.
Did she leave of her own free will, or did she get? I mean, fucking Wayne. For all we know, we haven't seen Wayne do anything. We've seen his screen time has been like, fucking Darth Vader divided by Jaws. Like, he is.
Well, those are both like they're close to each other, so it'd be actually like a pretty good. That'd be a pretty good fraction.
Look, don't question me. I'm science man.
Also math man.
The same thing.
It's math, but the science of numbers.
I scored the same low score on both of those on the SAT. All right. So I figured they were the same thing.
So if I'm an expert in one of them now, I must be an expert in the other also.
But yeah, like he could have come in and been like, I did need you. I needed your baby to be born because you had to experience childbirth, because now I have absorbed the soul of the baby. It's now...
Did not like that noise.
It's now I'm gathering all the Asian women babies, putting them in me, their essence, and that's what burst out of his stomach in the bathroom. That's why there's a hole in his stomach.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So
an alien
he
situation.
was giving birth to Jesus 2.0. I don't know. Look, all I'm saying is anything's possible.
I'm just gonna fight you on this.
I'm glad that was the path we took to get to that insight.
I had to illustrate how ridiculous you could be because we don't know anything. I mean, Gwen, is there anything that like explicitly gives you a clue that Christine was like, nah, fuck it, I'm out?
Yeah, because she all of a sudden lost faith in Wayne and was like, oh, he's not coming. This is not the baby that I expected or wanted. The whole reason for me having this baby is gone. Peace, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's not happening. I'm just saying
Could have been Wayne.
So much, considering people fucking disappear in this show, a lot could have happened. I mean, it might not have been Wayne. Maybe she was abducted by someone else. Maybe the Irish dude was like, I want two. So he went and took her. I don't know.
Also, I mean, it is worth noting the song that's playing at the beginning of this episode that is then revealed to be playing through Christine's headphones is a French song that translates to "Don't Leave Me." Maybe she's not a good listener.
French.
I don't know.
I like the way they think.
God. Okay.
Was the string there was an arrangement of something, I can't remember if it was in the Garvey's at their best or the other one. Was that Nothing Else Matters by Metallica?
It's Apocalyptica's cover of that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty great. It
was pretty good.
That montage. I wish someone would film me looking like just walk into my car and so as Nothing Else Matters plays. I just flick a half-smoked cigarette out of my mouth.
I mean, there are plenty of people who would shoot me for this, but I'm pretty sure that most anyone can do a better Metallica song than Metallica. Just throwing that out there.
Oh man, I will say I am stoked for the Hot 2021 release of the Wiggles do Metallica.
I would listen to that shit.
Enter Wiggles. Yeah, so but yeah, so Tom then takes the baby, puts it on a different ground somewhere else.
At least in the car seat.
At least in a car seat, true.
Fucking pisses me off.
Yeah, don't leave babies unattended in car seats.
Yeah,
It is
fair.
dangerous.
That's fair.
We did have a dude who offered him help. I don't know if that dude has any importance. I imagine with what the show is, like I thought Nora was not going to be past episode 1. Now she's a huge character. So that guy's probably the main character in season 2.
Yeah, nailed it. Nailed it.
The best was like there was another car that honked. She's like, "That's my ride," and then gets in the fucking bus. I was like, "What?" You were literally saying that about the bus? None of us were questioning that until that car honked. And then you picked that time to say that's your ride. Now I'm confused.
Oh God. Yeah. So that's all. That all makes perfect sense.
It's a helping people cult. I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to remember any other. I mean, we can talk about the end. I'll call it just the commotion that Garvey returns to in Mapleton. Everything is just in shambles. We kind of briefly mentioned that. We briefly mentioned why can't I remember? Megan? Is it Megan? Liv Tyler's character? Her and someone else are fucking tied up to a street sign, just shit beat out of them. And she looks more committed than we've seen her for sure up to this point. And then we get to just the absolute clusterfuck of a cul-de-sac fire that's going on. And probably one of I really like the moment between Lori and Kevin like outside those houses. The fact that the first word she speaks in a long time is her daughter's name, I think is really it like gets me in a spot. Get a very long montage of Garvey going into that house. Maybe a little too long. I don't know how you guys felt about that moment or anything, but
yeah, this burning houses are one of those things where it's like a house on fire like that is not something you can run into and go and find people.
Right.
There's a reason people are unconscious on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
It looks like that one and it was like, no, it's not funny.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I love, I don't know that we've talked much about the music in the show. I mean, I think we've talked about it briefly, but, the original music for this show is really, I think, it's very striking and unique and cool. And I like that song kind of playing over that moment. Glad when he finally finds Jill, because Jill's almost already died by suffocation this season. So I'm glad that she didn't
She's
die.
Almost killed someone by suffocation too.
God damn it. He did die a little death. Presumably. Yeah, anyways. God damn. But yeah, that I think one of the real one of the real heartbreaking moments at the end of that is as he's carrying her out, you see them walk right past Lori, who is still on the ground, away from them, and it does any idea that this is going to be mended, or you know what I mean, it's it feels pretty clear that that's not gonna, I don't know, it's a really, I think that's a really great shot and moment. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that pandemonium.
It felt like what would actually be happening in a situation like that. Like just the setup, the tension between the residents of the city and the guilty remnant. like Garvey is not trying to stop anybody from hurting anybody else. Like he's there to save his family first and foremost. Like there's the one, I can't remember his buddy cop's name, who's like, we called the fire department, but they're not going to come through until we can clear the street. And like there's like they're trying to get the situation under control, but at the same time, like it felt, I don't know, just being in a moment where nothing is in control, it was really jarring to be experiencing it, as it's like it's after it's already started to happen, before things has calmed down, and Garvey's there right in the middle of it, doing the first thing that he thinks of doing, which is not being a cop, it's being a dad, being a family person, trying to do the right thing there. That felt very, that hit me really deep. Yeah.
I think one of the other things that guy says that I think is striking and a little horrifying is him being like, "No one wants to help them, Chief."
Yeah.
Which is like, oh.
Yeah, the streets aren't clear because our officers also want this to happen.
Yeah, like, man, yeah, it really is this perfect storm, and like, also it is. I mean, this is presumably what the guilty remnant has wanted, right? Since the beginning, and what they expected. And so, yeah, it really is this perfect storm of just fucking insanity. Yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of touched on the major things. Did we leave anything out of the last
Just
episode?
I think Nora's thing right at the end.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, how she's writing her letter to Garvey and gets caught as she's about to leave. Well, I mean, she sees the baby, and that's kind of like what keeps her there. And then obviously Jill and Kevin show up. So yeah, that was kind of cool, because like we get this really like eloquent letter from Nora about her experience and everything. And at first I thought it was a suicide letter. Like I thought she's going to like lay down in bed with her kids and shoot herself or something. Like that's where my mind went. And then she's like, I'm not strong enough to kill myself. That was like the letter that she's writing is so emotionally just heavy. And the process that we're taking on through that, from, is she killing herself? Okay, she's going away because she doesn't feel like she can kill herself, even though she probably wants to. And then she ends up staying. Like that just micro roller coaster of emotions right there. It was fun's not the right word, but interesting.
Yeah.
It's definitely heartbreaking, because I mean, the concept of guilt about all this is definitely prevalent in these last two episodes, even more so. And so she's already feeling that. And then also, I mean, that's why it's still hard to connect with the guilty women, I guess, even though we know a little bit more about their motivations, because it's like pretty much everyone has gone through a moment where they have like a heated lashing out or desire towards a loved one, and it just happened to be a really shitty time for that to happen, and all those people disappeared. So it's like, to then do that because of that to other people it is really fucked up. And I think Nora shows it the best of like, it wasn't a great situation beforehand with her, but that doesn't mean that she should be robbed of certain things and be antagonized for it. And her like tucking these dummies into bed was like a really, really hard thing to watch, and empathetically like putting myself in that scenario. I was like, fuck, like that's hard. And then with that being played over, and then while she's reading, it transfers over to Lori, which I think is really interesting. And we see a lot of Lori footage with Nora telling what's going on, and it kind of mirrors, not necessarily parallel, in some ways exactly parallel, in some ways striking opposites of Lori's situation, and how the letter kind of fits her character. I thought was really cool how they did that.
Sure. Yeah.
And that statue that Lori goes to was made kind of like, I mean, it's made for a lot of people, but it was made when they were honoring Nora at the parade or whatever it was at the beginning.
the
Like that was
yeah,
when
the
it was
anniversary thing.
unveiled.
Yeah.
And there were comments about like it's a statue of a mother losing her child, and we're doing this when Nora is going to be speaking, and then like we learn about what's happened to Lori, and she's going to that statue at the end. Like, man, there's some really tight stuff happening in the writing in this. This is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do. I think that I think these 2 episodes really like I said earlier, like these were the moments when I was like, oh no, I'm gonna watch the next episode of this show immediately. And then about 10 minutes into that episode, which you guys will see, I was like, I'm even more lost than I ever was. Anyways, it'll be really great. Any closing thoughts? Does anyone have any? I feel like we've kind of hit most everything. But yeah, we'll if you want to talk to us about leftovers, whatever, email us at rewatchersonthepod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at rewatcherspod. Next week we'll be starting season 2. So the first 2 episodes of season 2 of The Leftovers. And yeah, we'll take a brief break and then be back with some recommendations for some other stuff. Welcome to the recommendation section of the podcast where we talk about other things we've been watching, reading, listening to, all that good shit. Gwen, what did you have to recommend for us this week?
Well, I've just been like too mentally exhausted to start a new book. Although I did get 10 minutes into Children of Men, but it was late and I was anxious and tired. And I was like, fuck
or
this.
the book?
Oh, interesting.
After that, did you guys see there's a whole kerfuffle about how everyone's going to be infertile by 2050. So I was like, I should read Children of Men.
Oh, yeah.
Was
Bad
that the
idea.
pollution making penises smaller thing? Was that it?
And also decreasing sperm count, yes.
Ah, gotcha.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Sorry. I don't know what I'm saying.
But I watched the first 2 episodes of the Marvel.
WandaVision.
Nope, the other one.
Falcon Winter Soldier.
That one. I
Okay.
watched the first 2 episodes, and there were some good punchy bits. And that's about all I have to say about that.
Punchy bits is not something I like thinking about. Makes me uncomfortable when I
Oh,
get
you
two
ain't to
words
get
together.
your bits punched.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all I had to say.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in that show. I haven't watched any of Marvel. I've heard good things about WandaVision, but I
It
don't
was
know.
fine.
Yeah.
It was.
Was there some news other than movie trailer or posters about Black Widow movie coming up? Was there something about
I don't
like
know.
Marvel's just like saying fuck it to theaters or something and just gonna be
they were holding out a long time for theater, and then this week I think they said they're gonna do the double thing like they've been doing.
okay.
So like the pay extra or whatever. Okay. I mean, I don't know why that's.
I mean, I think part of the reason they've been holding on so long, it's like their first female-led superhero movie,
Yeah.
and they wanted it to be like the big theatrical event, I think, and
Yeah.
which is understandable. But like, yeah, it's weird that it was this week they made that decision though, because things seem like they are starting to, head towards more normalcy. And
Yeah.
that do they know? Does Disney know something we don't know?
I mean, I think you can always assume that's the case. They're doing some shit. Yeah.
What are they doing in that Disney vault? It's like the Bohemian Grove of entertainment.
He's going there and listen to the head of Walt Disney tell them the plan.
That Venture Brothers episode. Yes, father.
Goddamn. Okay. Okay, so I have a few things to recommend. The first thing I'm going to recommend, I finally started maybe trying to watch the Best Picture nominees for the Oscars because, wow, I have not seen any of them. But this week I watched Promising Young Woman with Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham and other people. And It is really good. It's fucked up. I mean, that's the thing. Like, the movie is fucking incredibly well made, incredibly well acted. And it's just about fucking bullshit that happens in the world to women, and it's awful. And watch it. I guess I just have something else ready to queue up. Because I think especially if you watch the trailer for this movie, it comes off as being something that's gonna make you feel good about watching bad people get what's coming to them. It's not as much that as just it's really well done. I don't know what else. I don't have really much else to say about it.
Unrelated, well, related, but in a very different way. Did you hear Bo Burnham is playing Larry Bird in the HBO
I did hear that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
There's someone else casting that as Pat Riley. I'm trying to remember who it was.
I can't remember.
Oh yeah. I can't remember right now either.
It was also kind of a weird cast. Not that weird, but pretty weird also. So it's going to be interesting to see what that is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see whatever that is. Like, sure. Okay, the other two things I have to recommend this week are video games. The first one is a co-op only video game called It Takes Two. It's made by the guy who said fuck the Oscars at the Game Awards that one time. And it is basically, I will say the first 15 minutes of this game are some of the cringiest fucking story bullshit I've ever encountered. The whole basic setup to the story is that there's these husband and wife who are going to get divorced, and their daughter overhears them and has made dolls of them, and the power of her tears put the souls of her parents into the dolls, and then you play as these dolls, and you're shrunk down little. Anyways, it's not good. That's not what I'm recommending. What I am recommending is the actual video game part of this, which it's basically a 3D platformer, a co-op 3D platformer. So it's all in split screen. It basically splits the screen down the middle. There's really fun puzzles, some real interesting and fun boss fights, which I don't say about almost any game anymore. But it's really fun. It's a little expensive. I think it's $40. But I didn't expect it to be as long as it is. I haven't finished it yet, but I think we've put like 7 or 8 hours into it, and we might be halfway. I'm not sure. It's pretty long, but it's really fun and does some cool platforming stuff. The other one I'm going to recommend, I guess, comes with caveats also, but I got Monster Hunter Rise this week on the Switch, which I'd kind of dipped into Monster Hunter World a little while ago, and I really liked a lot of it, but I think I kind of missed the swell of like being in the moment that would have carried me into the deeper parts of that game, and so I decided to pick up Monster Hunter Rise, and there's something about that game that's really, really fun, and it's maybe the only game I've played in a long time where I have just match made into groups of randoms and gone and hunted big monsters with them, and it's really fun. I think that you need to own a Pro Controller or like that giant Pro Controller cut in half that they put Joy-Con slides on, because I would not play that with the normal Joy-Con.
Is it only on the Switch?
It is only on Switch right now.
The hell?
Is a planned PC release, I believe. Well, I don't know that they've fully announced this yet, but I believe it seems to have a 1-year exclusivity on the Switch, and then we'll have a PC release.
Damn.
But yeah, Monster Hunter's really fun. It's not a game I would typically, I think, enjoy, but something about the combat and the in some ways, it kind of reminds me of, I really got into The Witcher when I played it on the higher difficulty, and I was forced to use all of the systems in combat. That feels like the default setting for Monster Hunter. Is it's like, if we're introducing something to you, it's because you are going to want to use it, and that's really satisfying, and it's really fun. But yeah, so Monster Hunter Rise, pretty good game. Tyler, what did you have to recommend for us?
I've been playing Breath of the Wild again. Well, still. I think I'm starting to hate it again. I'm just disappointed. There's so many things I love about Zelda that it feels like they're like, but we gotta go open world. I'm like, great. How many fucking shrines are there? Ah, fuck. Like,
Oh, but wait till you get all the Korok seeds, my dude.
good fucking lord. I looked up like the reward for getting all. I'm like, what the fuck?
I love that it's just a literal shithead trophy. It's like, yeah, fuck you. Why did you do this?
Yeah, I definitely have enjoyed things about the game a little bit more this time around, but I am already getting like, it feels like a grind, and I'm hoping they can do something to fix that in the next one. And also, I just really miss how dungeons were built in the other ones and how they were built off of each other and the items you got and the puzzles worked with that, whereas you get everything at the beginning in this game and there's like a 3-minute puzzle for each little thing, and then the actual 4 big dungeons are actually pretty short, and they're good, they're really good, but they're short. And I also just like how everything has, like, every dungeon has like the same aesthetic, and that's a bummer because that's so cool about the other Zelda games, going into like the Forest Temple, and then also the Shadow Temple is fucking horrifying, and like just all that. So anyway,
So I bet you were pretty excited though that they're bringing Skyward Sword to the Switch.
goddamn, Skyward Sword is I actually very much dislike, but I am excited that they got rid of the motion controls, because there's no way to play that without motion controls on the other one.
Yeah,
that was the most
incredible.
I distinctly remember like hyperextending my elbow, thrusting so many times, and it not fucking working. Me just cursing at my TV, like, "Fucking piece of shit, Miyamoto, fuck you!" And yeah, it's stupid. Like, Nintendo, God, fuck it. Who does anyone play the lab anymore? Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, cardboard bullshit," and now no one's talking about it. Nintendo's fanboys are full of shit, and I hate it. Like, I won't be surprised if Breath of the Wild 2 is a co-op only thing. Like, that would not surprise me whatsoever, because Nintendo's so up their own ass about their weird shit.
But one of the people has to use the Ring Fit Adventure
Yeah,
controller.
yes, that not even going to be shocked. No, it's going to be a new controller. It's the same concept, but it's just going to be like one person has a shield control and the other person has a sword controller. Like, God, ugh. It's like so much potential, and yeah.
It'll be called Link Between Men. Because you're linked. You are Link.
Anyway, Link.
Oh man, we
really
should
missed out on
really
that with
stop
the
doing
Wii.
their job for them. These are fucking incredible
I'm fucking
ideas.
taking notes right now. But anyway, everything else I've got is music, because holy shit, a ton dropped this week that I wasn't following, and all of a sudden my like new release on Spotify section was like, oh, every single thing I'm listening to. So to start us off, I mean, these are actually, most of them are bands I've recommended before. That just my boys 68 is a band I like, and their album Double Viper is fantastic. They released an album last year which was okay. They released another album just barely. They're prolific as fuck right now, and yeah, it's really good. It's called Give One, Take One, and it's better than the last album. Not as good as Double Viper, but it's good. I highly recommend it. Very weird, very bizarre style. Also, speaking of very weird, very bizarre style, not a new band by any means. I dove back into the Butthole Surfers this week, and I was telling Katie, I'm like, I didn't do much butthole surfing in the 90s, mainly because if my mother ever caught me listening to a band called the Butthole Surfers, I would have been crucified. So
you don't think she would have liked the album cover that's just an ultra close-up of a pencil being jammed into an ear?
Yeah, that's the most 90s album cover.
So ridiculous.
But holy shit, the Butthole Surfers are very interesting. Like, for a band called the Butthole Surfers in the 90s that's that got kind of popular, they do some really interesting, a lot of really interesting production choices, and just musical choices on how to present certain instruments and vocals. So if you have not dove into the Butthole Surfers, it sounds fucking weird, take that dive. Go butthole surfing. Who Was in My Room Last Night, man, is a jam. Then Callie Mossy, who I've recommended on this podcast before, very great, released a new album. And holy shit, there's a prequel to my favorite song on the first album. Have you listened to this new album?
No, I haven't.
Oh, so Recurring 2 is a song on their first album.
Okay, yeah.
That's just probably my favorite song on that album. There's a song called Recurring 1 on this new album that is It is so good.
Sweet.
Uh,
Yeah, that one.
yeah, the last 2 songs, especially on this album, are really good. And also the band Death from Above 1979 released a new album, and
They did. Okay.
it's hard. This one's hard for me to recommend because it's still, if you like, it's got the sexy dancy band that thinks they're really cool and kind of are groove to it still. But for me, the thing that makes that band so cool is it's 2 fucking dudes. One of them's playing a bass guitar, the other one's drumming and singing. Like that feeling of like that kind of raw is gone because now the very cool thing about it is that bass is distorted so fucking bizarrely that it sounds like just really crunchy, huge electric guitar, and it's acting like a lead guitar. And that's what's cool about that band. This new album is like, what if we took that cool sound and threw it out the window? That guitar sound that we've been working with, what if we just digitized it? And that's what this album is. So it's still got like the thing that's going to make you want to do the twist dance thing. But that's about all it's got. So, I mean, it's take that for what it's worth, I guess. Like,
Sure.
if what you're listening for from Death from Above 1979 is, I just want to dance like an idiot around my house, it's great. And there was one other one that came out. I mean, this wasn't what I was going to do, but Brockhampton came out with a new song, and it's actually one of their good ones. Because I'm very split on Brockhampton. I'm like, anything that it either leads R&B or it leads to like leans rap, and anything that leans rap, I'm like, I'm in. Anything that leans R&B, I'm like, I'm fucking out. Like, yeah, Brockhampton's weird. Who was it? Yeah, that might because I'm not seeing. I felt like there was one other one, but I can't find it. But yeah, all those albums I recommend at least somewhat, but definitely the first 2.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Well, great. I think that's it for us.
I
this
did
week.
come
you
up
have
with,
something?
yeah,
Okay.
just real quick, talking music just had kind of jostled my memory. I have been listening to a band group. I don't know. I don't even know if it's one person. And I don't really know how to say this. Perturbator. I don't know. They're it's synth music. I talked about like how I bought a synth last week and really like electronic music. And this is like, it's like got that sort of like 80s revival synth feel that's been really popular lately, like video game-y kind of, but like it's pretty dark synth, and like the titles of their tracks are like something like humans make for really good prey, or like that kind of stuff, or like vampires come up a lot in the titles for their tracks. Really good stuff. It's that's what I've been listening to. I've been working the last few days. And then one other recommendation. There's a guy that I originally saw live when I was a senior in high school. His name's Chris Merritt, and he's put out, I don't know, like 10 albums, I think, since then. The album that he had put out at that time was one of the albums that I listened to a bunch when I was a senior in high school, and I remembered him this past week, and so I went and found him on Spotify, saw that he has all these other albums that he's put out since then. I've been listening to him. It's very much like Ben Folds. Like, it's that kind of style. Okay. Very lyrical. Not so much like, you're not gonna get like really amazing music out of it. Even though like he's a really solid pianist, and the band that he plays with are pretty good too. Like they also kind of dive into some like electronic stuff. Like he's got like, he uses I don't know if there's samples or what from video games in his music as well. Check him out if you want some Ben Folds-esque kind of music. Chris Merritt, Merritt, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd recommend him.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I've got a lot of music to check out this week, I think. So, awesome. Well, we'll be back next week, like I said, with the first 2 episodes of season 2 of Leftovers. You've been here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
Catch you later.
Ready.